So this journey that I'm on, I want to be as open as possible. I want to share my failures, my takeaways, my lessons, because I think that's super valuable and it's how you allow others to learn from your mistakes and potentially join you on this journey and join you as well. I set out to inspire others, and you included, to embark on their own journey. And while reading a book, it has just dawned on me that over the past year, I've lost around about 10k, to put it abruptly. 10k pounds, maybe in that case 12k USD, more or less. And what kind of pains me about that is the fact that I've always been really good with my money. I remember when I was, who knows, maybe 10, maybe 12, and I saved up £12 to buy something. And I remember I was in a shop called Lidl, and they had a scooter there. It was one that you could fold the handlebars, which made it easy to store or transport. And I really wanted it, but the problem was that it costed £19. Thankfully though, my parents were kind enough to lend me or give me the extra £7 that I needed to buy the scooter. And this was before I made any money of my own. So it must have been when I was more so 10 or 12. And truthfully, I never used to get too much pocket money, just because my parents were already clearly, using quite a lot of the money that they had, and potentially didn't have too much left over to give me as pocket money. I did get money sometimes, and I was looked after extremely well. Overall, I am extremely grateful for my parents for everything they've done, and that's honestly a huge part of the reason why I did everything I did over the last year and why I still am doing what I'm doing. But fast forward to when I was 13, I started a paper round because I just wanted to start making some kind of money of my own as soon as possible. Just being as independent as I could and just making whatever of my own so I could save up for whatever it be. And after around, I think, just over a year of saving, I bought my first bike on my own. Well, that's a lie, actually. I bought a different bike before that. But I saved up for a nice brand new bike, a blue nuke-proof Scout, and it was a nice bike. And then fast forward, I think a year I had that bike for. I bought another bike, the same one except newer and better, nuke-proof Scout Expert. And then fast forward another, not sure, couple of years, I saved up and bought myself a car. This was when I was working as a lifeguard, just over a year ago. Well, a year ago I finished working as a lifeguard, actually, and that's something I'll get into momentarily. But I saved up money for my paper round to do my driving license, and this was like extra £2 £2 coins or £1 coins or £5 notes that I would put in a, like a piggy bank or whatever you want to call it. And that came to just enough for my driving license, really, actually. I needed around about 500, maybe £600 for my driving license. And yeah, working as a lifeguard allowed me to buy the car, because I've always, since I was a little kid, loved cars, and I just could not wait from a super early age to drive. And just recently, actually, I sold my car, and currently I have no car, which is also part of this whole thing. And to clarify, I did make a video on this before, but I sold my car both because I had to and because I wanted to. I wanted to because I didn't need it anymore. Although I say I wanted to, I happily would have kept it probably, and I happily would have a car now if I was in a much better situation. But I wanted to in the sense that it just didn't make much sense to keep it anymore. And I was only using it maybe once every couple of months to drive up to the city, to the orthodontist, or maybe to the gym once every while, because I would walk most other days. But the mistake I want to talk about in this video is that a year ago, it's been a year now, actually, it was, oh wow, actually just over a year, because it just turned April today. And it was March of last year that I just quit my job. I saved up myself a decent bit of money, what you might call runway, and I just quit. I stopped working. I stopped making any money to go all in on my agency. And back then, my agency, it was, well, what even was it? I didn't have any clients. I was doing small amount of outreach, honestly. I mean, looking back at that time now, I was doing like 20 outreach a day. Later on, 50 outreach a day, which was just, looking back now, that's nothing. Like, I quit my job to send DMs on Instagram, and I can't believe it, honestly. So being back in that position now, what would I do differently? You do not need to quit your job just to start a business. If you cannot make your first $100 working 1 or 2 hours a day, do not expect to make $10,000 working 10 hours a day. That's the mistake I made. Now, yes, sometimes you need to, burn the boats, and your situation is going to depend on whether you're a father of 2 or 3, whatever. Obviously, in that situation, it's even more unwise to do that. And in my situation in particular, obviously, I wasn't in I'm young. It's a good time to take such risks. But still, it just was an unwise decision. And over this course of that year, I lost more or less 10K just to expenses, both for running the business and just lifestyle, and investing in mentorship and teaching and courses, which, don't get me wrong, once again, it's an investment. And I mean, even though I've been, compared to the rest of my life, terrible with my money over the last year, truthfully, looking back at this time in 5 or 10 years, I'm most likely going to not regret it and acknowledge, because I kind of do now, that despite the money I've lost, 100% it's going to, continue to give me lessons for the rest of my life. And the lessons that I have learned from it are going to continue to just help me and steer me and allow me to help others for the rest of my life. But yeah, I just need to persevere and finally just emerge, because I've not really filmed an update in a while, but over the past, like I said, year, I've been running an agency. More recently, just a month or two ago, I pivoted because my mentor really just told me, Fabian, you're just running yourself into the ground, offering generic lead services. I was standing for 8 hours a day, cold calling 500 people a day, just really neglecting my natural abilities. And more recently, I've just started I've started creating my own brand, and that is Be Mega, where my mission is to help 1 million people and inspire 1 million people to pursue the best version of themselves and to pursue excellence and settle for nothing less, and to help people live fulfilled lives by helping them discover their purpose and align their values with those of the world, and really just go on to live a life of fulfillment by leaning into their natural abilities and doing what they're deeply inclined to do, and helping people realize this. So far, I've, in the last couple of months, grown my Twitter by, I think, well over 4,000%, which sounds huge. It's really not, because I've grown to 250 followers, which isn't huge, but nevertheless, from a couple months ago, I had 3 followers. It's okay. And the funny thing is that for the 6 months before, I was posting on Twitter, or X, just like as a journal. I was just posting my ideas there. I did not care who saw my posts really, or how many followers I had, because for those entire 6 months, I had just those 3 followers, which were actually my friends and maybe my brother, but I think it was just my friends at that point, so not even like any fans or anything. But then, after those 6 months, I decided, well, I like creating and I like becoming the best version of myself, and I like giving people advice. So why don't I help other people become the best version of themselves? So I just started to create every day on there, just providing genuine value. And I decided that alongside this, to actually build this into a business, I will take on mentees. And I took on initially 5 mentees for free. And I thought, well, if I'm going to be a mentor, I'm not going to teach people or consult people to a $20 million exit in business, because I'm not qualified to do that. But truthfully, I watched a video by William Brown, and many other people said this, that to actually teach someone, you don't need to be a number 10. They just need to be a number 1, and you're a couple steps ahead of them. That's a 3. You don't even need to be a 5. Just a 3 out of 10 in that thing. And I thought, well, what am I qualified in? Well, fitness. I've been going to the gym for the past few years, and you could say I've got an above average physique. Mindset, I really like mindset and reading loads of books and really just sharing advice with people that I think genuinely will work for them. Optimization, which would include things like nutrition, health and fitness, and like things like sleep, because I'm really interested in optimizing sleep, and for example, blocking out blue light and sleeping for 7.5 hours in your 90-minute ultradian cycle, so on and so forth. And more recently, purpose. Because clearly a year ago I was lost, but now more recently I've found my drive. And I've realized that my purpose, like I said, is to help people find their purpose so they can feel and live fulfilled lives of meaning. And so I've started mentoring people in those 4 areas. And I've also been mentoring in business because I have been in business and I know a few business things, despite the fact that I've not built a hugely successful business. I've one mentee in particular who is running a business, and I was giving him some advice on that. But like I said, I'm focusing on the things I am qualified in, and that's allowed me now to get my first testimony. It's from one of my mentees, and truthfully, it almost makes you forget about the money, because it really just put a big smile on my face seeing that testimony or testimonial. And I just want to keep helping people. I want to continue to help people, and that's why my goal for April now is to gather 4 testimonies from actually genuinely helping people. And I've taken a different approach now, where I'm taking a ladder approach, like is taught. I mean, it's not really called the ladder approach, I don't think, but in the Millionaire Master Plan, Roger James Hamilton's mentor told him, essentially, long story short, instead of chasing success, get addicted to making small, consistent progress, and you'll succeed far more than you otherwise would chasing success. Which means, instead of chasing the 10K per month, you focus on your first $100. And then after your first $100, there's literally just 10 steps to $1 million. If you double 100 10 times, that's just over 100K. And obviously, monthly across the span of a year, that's $1 million. So, I'm taking things step by step right now. I took on initially 5 mentees for free. Since then, I've taken on 2 paid mentees. I'm looking to take on a 3rd soon, which will be my friend. And one of my free mentees is to turn into a paid mentee soon. So, step by step, that's the way to go about it. You do not need to drop everything to chase that 10K. Do not do that. You can still work your job and try and run a business working just 2 hours a day. Because like I said, if you cannot make your first $100 working 1 or 2 hours a day, do not expect to make your first $10,000 working 10 hours a day. It's stupid. So I wish you all the best. I hope you join me on this journey. Well, if you want to. I am looking to create real and big change and inspire people, because I myself am inspired by change, and more recently, really genuinely inspired by Leonardo da Vinci in particular. I point there because he's in that book, and it's one of the biggest reasons why I bought that book. And I also then went ahead and bought How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci. And it's a great book because recently I've been really inspired by how Leonardo da Vinci has, from a young age, was from a young age extremely curious. He was curious as a kid his whole entire life. And that's why he was so accomplished, because he never chased success, which is what I just talked in this video about. I lost 10K in the past year chasing that success, instead of leaning into my natural abilities and just doing something of real meaning. This now is something that is of real meaning. I've detached from the outcome, which is the 10K per month, and instead I'm creating something real and valuable. So yeah, like I said, I wish you all the best. I hope you take massive action today and you learn from my mistakes and you go on to do incredible things. be mega.